yeah.
It's happy hour again from Central City, New Orleans. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. We're at Casa Borrega. Join me saying Casa Borrega.
Costa Borrega.
Thank you very much. On Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard at Felicity here in Central City. Casa Borrega is a bar, it's a restaurant, it's a live music venue, and it's the home of happy hour for the next 60 minutes, where you'll get to meet 5 of the many thousands of fascinating people who live in or pass through New Orleans. And you'll get to hear some live music as well at the end of the show. You might conclude New Orleans is a great city where people love to talk, have fun, and enjoy great music, but there's a fair chance you know that already. So let's get right on with doing nothing but enjoying the next 60 minutes of happy hour together. My extremely eclectic bunch of guests sitting around the table here. We're very fortunate to have. Among them is the legendary Tony Clifton. Tony, welcome to New Orleans.
Oh, yeah, thank you, my friend. Now, I didn't pass through, but I did pass out last night.
You did?
In New Orleans,
what
in Bourbon
time?
Street, about 4 a.m.
4 a.m.?
I'm hurting today, my friend.
Oh, you look great, though.
Yeah,
you look just as good as ever.
Well, that's true.
Tony Clifton is a legendary lounge singer and comedian who was discovered by the late comedy giant Andy Kaufman in 1969. That can't be right, can it?
Yeah, 1969. He was going through a Las Vegas.
What were you, 3 or something then?
yeah. Well, well, I don't get my age out. I'm like, Jack Benny, 39.
You can't tell anybody.
39, yeah.
You look pretty good.
But these kids today, they don't know who the fuck Jack Benny is. Can I say, can you swear?
You can say Jack Benny, yes.
I could say Jack Benny. Okay.
You can say fuck as well. It's perfectly all right. Mr. Clifton was performing in 1969 in a seedy Las Vegas lounge. What did that look like? This is going to be the longest introduction in the history of the world.
Well, no, what it was in Old Vegas, down there around Fremont Street.
Right.
So kind of a scary place, and Andy Kaufman walked in. He saw me, and started talking, and then there was a couple. He wasn't famous at the time, but years later, I'm walking down the street in Vegas, and Bugsy Moreau. You don't know Bugsy? Bugsy used to sell hot watches on the street. He came up to him and said, "Hey, Tony, congratulations with this Carnegie Hall." I said, "What the hell are you talking about?" Oh, he says, in the old New York Times there, and then it said, Andy Kaufman performing at Carnegie Hall, opening act, Tony Clifton. And they had a picture of me and everything. I said, what the fuck? I had nothing to do with this. So I called, I finally got to the bottom of it. I called Andy Kaufman's manager, George Shapiro. If you saw the movie Man on the Moon, Danny DeVito played him. Yeah. And Shapiro's now Seinfeld's manager. So I called this guy, and I didn't have much money at the time, so I was dropping coins. Back then, you could put the coins in the phone booth. I guess and they wouldn't even take the call. They figured some street nut or something. Then finally, they're a bunch of Jews. So I finally got my own sheeny bastard lawyer to deal with them. Then they took the calls, and I found out in Kaufman.
You had an attorney back then, even?
A local guy.
Yeah.
He owed me some money. I got him a hooker one night, so that was what he owed. But anyway, so Kaufman got on the phone, and he said, "Oh my God, I didn't mean it," because he was going to do an impression of me. And then when I started raising a ruckus, he said, "Why don't you just come out and you do the show?"
He was going to do an impression of you using your name.
That's
and
right.
Saying that he was playing you.
They give you that old line there about the highest form of flattery is imitate. That's all bullshit.
Something like that.
It's just a way to steal your act. So he tried riding my coattails.
This is how you met Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman tried to steal your act.
He tried to steal
initially.
Grant, that's exactly how it was.
I had not realized that.
So then I started performing. I'd go on David Letterman. I'd go on Merv. I'd go on Johnny Carson. And they would think that it was Kaufman, because Kaufman was doing an impression of me.
Right.
So everybody just thought that it was him. So I did David Letterman 4 times. 4th time, David turns to me during the break, the commercial break, and he says, "Tony, if I didn't know it was you," he says, "Andy, if I didn't know it was you, I swear it was somebody else." He thought it was Kaufman. And the old Letterman, he didn't know that. And Letterman, he thinks he's cooler than everybody. So he thinks so. He was, not until we did Man on the Moon that Jim Carrey told him that, in fact, it was not Andy Kaufman, but me.
That's the first time Letterman found out who he was actually interviewing.
That's it, yeah, the first time.
Did they get paid for those appearances?
Sure, yeah, but not much. It was whatever scale was at the time. Yeah.
Hey, let's move around the table. Tony, we've got some other things to talk about to you as well, which is not least of which is your movie. Tony Clifton, the movie.
We showed it last night, yeah. Why didn't you come? Weren't you invited?
I wasn't invited. No, Ryan, your manager, didn't invite me. So, that's the kind of level we're at.
See, Ryan, I'm dropping him.
It's all over for him. I want to find out how you hooked up with him as well. Let's move around the table and meet the rest of our guests. Paige Bernhardt is here. Hi, Paige.
Hi.
Paige is a writer-producer for television, the internet, and a visual artist for television. Paige has written 2 Guys and a Girl, Yes, Dear, and What About Joan with Joan Cusack. On the web page, has produced and directed the web series Three Way, getting to be a bit of a theme here, and Cowgirl Up, series 1 and 2. In 2010, Paige and her partner Nancy Lee Myatt moved from Los Angeles to New Orleans, and their production company, My Heart Entertainment, just completed shooting Nikki and Nora, the N and N Files, which is America's first lesbian cop series. Congratulations.
It is, thank you.
Pretty impressive.
Lesbians can solve crimes too.
Paige and Nancy Lee also curated the first annual LGBT Film Festival during the Pride Festival this year in New Orleans. And as a visual artist, Paige has an upcoming show at Mystic Signs on Magazine Street, the Magnificent Sign Emporium. It's a funny place to have an art exhibition.
Yes, I know, but they're terrific over there. Eve she's the gal who runs things over there and does amazing work. And she said I've been doing some painting. I did a show just across the street. Was a part of the True Colors show during Pride.
Across the street being the O'Shea Cultural Center
yes,
on Aretha
yes.
Castle Haley Boulevard.
Which is a terrific place. They
It
do
is.
some really great
So,
stuff.
well, you're really a writer, though, aren't you?
I'm a writer, but I also paint. And
Do you paint, Tony?
filmmakers. I
Oh,
would
but-
love to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, he has to leave, or else you could sit for me.
I'll sit for you.
Cool, that would be great.
And it reminds me-
What, do you do,
here-
like naked portraits?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
Like
we're-
nude, I mean, nude.
Nude is the way.
Well, I
to
won't
not
do it
naked?
unless I'm nude. I will not do it unless
It's a
I'm
family
nude.
show. Come on, Tony.
But what did the one vampire lesbian say to the other vampire lesbian?
Paige, you got any clues about this?
Oh, geez.
What did vampire
Uh,
lesbian?
I see where
lesbians say
this
to
is
the
going.
other-
Dave, what?
And I'm enjoying
Yeah.
it.
I'll see you next month.
Oh, hey-oh.
Okay, that's not bad,
Good
is
one.
it?
No, that's,
Let's
Oh,
move
that's
around
really
the table.
good.
Ty Siddiqui is here. Hello, Ty.
Yes, hello, how are you?
Ty is the operations manager for Hex Old World Witchery in the French Quarter.
Indeed.
Ty is the founder and co-organizer for New Orleans Lamplight Circle and the founder and current president of the Greater New Orleans Pagan Pride Project.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Now, what kind of pride? These are not gay witches.
This is not gay witches. Well, I mean, there are definitely some gay witches up in there. You know,
There are?
we're an eclectic bunch.
There
Yes.
always are.
But pagan
Oh,
pride is not the word pride is not owned by the gay community. Then this is a
No, actually,
that-
Pagan Pride actually got started 15 years ago today. Today is the anniversary of
happy
it.
birthday,
Happy
pagan
birthday.
pride.
Yes,
Pagan
indeed.
Who started? Who was the genius who came up with the idea of pagan pride?
Oh Lord, it's a very complicated name. That's something like Ciclina de Ware, something along those lines. But,
Ciclina de Ware.
Yeah. It started 15 years ago, and it was very, very small. It's actually in 150 cities all over the world today, and it's based on gay pride. You know, same
It
general,
is.
same
That's where
general
the pride
concept.
comes
People
from.
don't know much about pagans. Pagans are all over the place. You know,
Are they?
there are some stereotypes about them, and
Can you recognize one on the street?
sometimes you can, because sometimes somebody is very, very pagan looking or very gothy
Gothy
looking.
metal.
You know, so, yeah, exactly. I mean, typically if somebody like spots somebody dressed all in black with some serious makeup going on and maybe a bunch of pentacles and sigils and things around their neck, you could probably say that they're a pagan. You could probably identify
I
them.
didn't
but-
realize that was pagan.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
see.
there's all
I
different
thought that
types.
was just some sort of like a fashion statement.
Sometimes it is,
It's actually
but
a
lot of
religion.
the times it's not. Well, yeah, paganism is sort of an umbrella term for a bunch of different religions that sort of follow general guidelines. Like it tends to follow nature spirituality. It tends to involve worship of the divine feminine. The divine feminine is usually a part of it, and a lot of times pagans are polytheistic, so they believe in more than one god.
So you believe in more than one god? How many?
Me
Yeah,
personally,
you
I
personally.
don't. No, but there are other pagans that do, and it tends to be a pretty popular
I have
belief.
an interesting story that I want to ask you about. We'll go around the table, get everybody else.
Okay, then we'll
But I've
come
got-
back to your
'cause
question,
I was at
Tony.
Salem, Mass once on Halloween, and I want to talk to you about it.
Okay, I'll introduce the band and then we'll come back to you. Our music guests today are the Scorseses,
Yeah!
who are making their second appearance here on Happy Hour. Welcome back, you
Thanks
guys.
for having us, Grant.
Vincent is here and David Demarest. Vincent, I don't even know how to pronounce your second name.
It's E-Buyer, like I buy
E-Buyer.
Yeah.
E-Buyer.
He's got too many E's in
And,
his name.
and then
for his
on
own good.
on Facebook, you're also known as Slick Willie.
Slick Willie, yes.
What's up with that?
It's just a nickname I got a really long time ago.
Who gave it to you and how come?
Kids in school.
I don't really want to know who gave it to you. How'd you get
Actually,
it?
my other nickname is Vinny the Bone. You know, like most gangsters have Frankie the Screwdriver. I'm Vinny the Bone.
Well, there you go. You and Tony Clifton can
Oh,
hang
Tony
out
and
after
Tony,
the show.
me and Tony will hang out.
Tony
I
Knuckles.
like that name, yeah. Vinny the Bone. Hey, Vinny! It's Vinny the Bone. He owes me money.
Tony, the Scorseses are a New Orleans rock band who have spent the early part of this year touring with the legendary LA band Fishbone, as well as rocking the festival circuit countrywide. Later in the year, the Scorseses are playing Voodoo Fest here in New Orleans. But before that, in fact, any day, they're releasing their first album,
We are next
Magnum
Wednesday.
Opus,
Yes.
which is a great sort of modest title for a debut album, right?
Can we explain?
Yeah. Hey,
Okay.
can you straighten that microphone of yours up there? Sorry, it's no fault of yours. Yeah, that's it.
Sure.
Yeah, beautiful.
I guess I
Okay.
should know about microphones a little more, huh?
Tell us, well, not really. Tell us the story behind Magnum Opus, and then we're getting on to Tony's question
Sure.
about witches for Ty, okay?
Well, the CD release is actually next Saturday. We're very excited about it. The
We
title
have to be more specific, though, because people listen to these
at
shows.
House of Blues.
Yeah, no, what date? Saturday,
September
the
28th.
September 28th,
Saturday.
2013.
2013.
Okay, so if you listen to this
All right, I
next
gotta
year,
get the year down
Cases to
first.
Sarcon.
this is 13. So September 28th is the day the record's coming out.
You
How
got
long
it.
has it been in the making?
3.5 years. No. We've been working on it for about
That's almost as long as Pagan Pride.
about 6 months. Yeah. I know it's about as old as Tony is right now. So, yeah.
You guys are sharing like an electronic cigarette, and the whole band shares that?
Yeah, what's going on over there?
What's in it? Is there any weed in it or something?
There isn't.
No.
No, there's not.
Can you
like
get
a hookah.
electronic weed? That's not a bad, interesting idea, right?
It's a very good idea, and it's circulating right now.
Electronic weed, is there such a thing?
Oh, it's vaporized.
Yeah,
That's-
yeah.
but
the
that-
oil, yeah.
Can you get
Vaporize
it?
it.
Can you
no,
get it in a
no
thing
plant
like
matter
that?
in your lungs.
But can you get it in a thing like that though? That's
Oh yeah.
You can.
You just buy a tank pen with a tank in it, then you place the oil inside of that and it vaporizes.
See, the vaporizer is what we use on the road in the van because you
Yeah.
know.
But the
gotta keep it- you
but
gotta
the
keep
real
it on the left.
vaporizer is a little piece of equipment. I mean, it's not like a little handheld thing. It's got a butane flame and all that stuff in it. This has got just a little. Well, that is a huge thing. That's it.
Atomizer.
And is that actually weed for real?
No, it's
not.
nicotine.
It's
It's good. It's just a better way for it
I
to
think he
smoke
wants a
for you.
hit.
If
I
it
think
was-
that's
no.
why
I would.
Pass it
I
to
would
you.
totally try it if it was. If it
Luke,
was.
why don't you go sit over next to Mr.
No, I don't want. I don't want any nicotine. That just is
If
horrible.
you guys need a
That
minute.
could wake me up, which is not the point at all. So tell us. Sorry. Anyway, Dave, what were you going to say earlier about the record?
So I'm sorry. With
Yeah.
specifics. Yeah, the
Yeah.
CD release is next Saturday at House of Blues, September 28th, 2013. Magnum Opus is a play on ourselves. Basically, we're just making fun of ourselves. It's the greatest achievement, which is that you have or can do. So, which is why it's in quotations. We're like, all right, well, I don't
Is
know
it
where
your
we're
CD? The title of the CD is in quotation marks.
in quotation marks.
And at the same
So
time,
now that you don't take it seriously, that we actually think,
it's almost like a double. It's almost like a double joke because these days the way the world's working, you never know what can happen. We could be a band today, and we could be gone tomorrow. It's just the way life is. So in a way, it may be our greatest work ever, or in a way, it
Or
may be
it's
just the start.
it's just terrible.
Or it's
and,
just horrible.
We just,
Yeah.
Well, which one is it?
Well, that's for
That's
you.
up
That's
to
for
you.
you to
That's up
listen.
for y'all to decide.
Has, you think that having the quotation marks will give you a way out? If everyone hates it, you say, "Hey,
Someone said that.
we're just
No,
fucking
it's-
around." It's
Hey,
just. It's not really a
Prince-
record.
Prince did it, and we're.
Did he?
Wow,
They have
did-
clauses and contracts for
didn't
that
he,
now.
didn't he-
What was the Prince album that had a quotation mark?
No, I
No.
thought it was like Prince, but he
changed it to a
changed his
symbol.
name. And
To a
then
symbol.
He didn't have
and all that,
quotation
yeah.
It was
marks.
a symbol. It was a symbol.
Yeah. He was like a weird, like a
It
symbol.
looked
Yeah.
like a pagan
Grant,
symbol.
you're asking too many
Did.
questions about this, man.
It's
We're
I'm
getting
going
confused.
to. Yeah. It's a little bit like Spinal Tap.
Yeah. Yes.
Have you
sure.
guys seen that movie?
Oh,
And this
yeah.
one goes to 11.
It goes up to
Yeah, it
11.
goes- okay. Okay, so the album's got quotation marks around it. It's called Magnum Opus, but it's going to be out any day now.
September
And it's
28th.
available. And it's available where all good downloads are sold. I
Yes,
assume,
all
right? That's the
three-
main
all-
thing.
yeah,
And on Spotify, can we
all-
hear it without
yeah.
paying a penny for it?
Yep, sure. Yeah, everything.
That's
yeah.
the main thing.
And then
You're
later
gonna-
on in April, we're going on. We just got invited to go on tour. It's a Global Rock Showcase with HR from Bad Brains. I don't know. And then we end up back in New York in, let's see, in September for the Global Rock Showcase DIA Records 3-day event. So we got a lot
I
on
think
our
it's some
plate
other
this
cool
year
bands
as
on
well.
that, too.
So
I think Dumpster Funk's gonna be playing
something.
All right.
Something. Yeah.
Did you guys all give up your day jobs to do this now? That is
Not
this-
yet. We do when we're on the road, but you got to have something to come home to. And
What do you do?
we're broke
otherwise?
still.
Yeah. These guys are super awesome band, actually, by the way. And it's hard to tell by looking at them, but they really are super talented.
You know what's even worse? There's
Really,
only half of us here right now. There's 3 more guys as well.
that's why you're not making any money. There's too many people.
I know.
Could you get rid of any of them? Are there any of them superfluous?
They're like a boomerang.
We tried.
Just
It
like
doesn't
Danny's
work.
dad said, you keep throwing them out and they keep coming
keep-
back.
yeah.
I mean, it's love. We're all brothers, and we've gone through a lot to where we have made it work. I mean, God, 8 different personalities. Fuck, you have no idea what that's like, but we have a common.
Sure we do.
We had a big boohoo session before we came over here. I love you. It's okay.
That's because of that electronic cigarette. That's whatever's in that. Well, you want to play something while we're talking about music, and
Yeah,
then
play
we'll
some.
come back and we'll do a.
No, play some. That's
and then
Well,
we'll
we
do.
need a little preparation.
Need to set up.
tune
Okay.
and,
Okay. Really? Doesn't we don't care if it's not a
Yeah,
tune.
it doesn't matter if it's
It
out of
doesn't-
tune.
no, we
We'll
don't
just
want-
give it to him raw.
Put it in quotation marks.
I sing
mean,
out of tune.
It's irrelevant.
I tell you, Grant. I tell you, you got us good, buddy.
Okay, you can, Tony. You can sing along with them if you like. They can teach it to you.
Well,
It's
I
not
don't know
that
what a
complicated.
song- well,
So, Tony, well, you guys want to get set up, and then while you're doing that, we'll
Sure,
we'll talk about witchcraft. What was the Salem, Massachusetts?
Well, this was weird. This is where I was going to ask you about this. It was a number of years ago, and I was driving, and I happened to end up in Salem, Mass, which they take witchcraft very seriously.
I do happen to know they take witchcraft very seriously.
And I
there.
pulled into that town. As a matter of fact, Salem, the insignia on the police cars is a witch on a broom, right? So
There's also an official witch of Salem.
yes, and I met her.
Yeah, Lori Cabot.
Lori Cabot. She's got the place right there in town.
Yep.
You buy a Wolf Bang and all that other
Was you
stuff.
the first one? Or
And
was
I
there
rolled
many
into
of
that
them?
time. Matter of fact, that's where my story starts with her because I came in. It was just about 6, and it was on Halloween, and a lot of tourists in town, so they were in her store buying stuff. And and they market because that's where the Salem witch trials took place. And they have a lot of the homes of.
Actually, there's
it's a little outside, right?
Yeah, like the Salem
The
of
next-
today is not the Salem of back then.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was actually the next township
Yeah.
over, but they kind of marketed there.
Right, exactly.
And they had, and that's where they had the Proctor House and all these names associated with the Salem witch trials. So and they have museums there and all this stuff. But I noticed, and I'm standing in line. She's just ready to close the door. I got my juju beans and wolf bang and all that. I'm standing in line. I'm going up there, and she's all dressed in black and everything. But she wants to get out of here because this is her big night, And I said, this is where it got crazy. I asked her, and I'm the last one, and I said, I noticed where they have the trials and all this, and it's this one's house and that, but where did the executions of the witches take? But when I said that, she started on me like, young man. I was younger then. She says, how dare you ask that? That is one of the saddest moments in history in this town, and Bob, and she went on so much about this and really gave me a hard time. Oh, I'm sorry I asked.
It's a really personal issue. I mean, like, I'm a witch.
Yeah.
Lots of people in the pagan world are witches, and it can be a very personal issue for a lot of things. For me personally, I view it as a very sad day for women. There was a man
yes,
that was killed as well.
and
but-
that's what she was saying,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But here's where it got crazy. But that she was so adamant about this, and I went, oh my God! If I wanted to make some money, I'd find out where that took place in town, and I'd market the hell out of it. Because it's stuff like that tourists are going to want to see. That's just me from a
I mean,
commercial.
that's probably, there's a lot of commercialization that goes on in Salem. That's
yeah.
probably the one spot that they just don't want to do
Well,
that
well,
at.
this exactly. So the
Probably get in
years,
big trouble.
Years later, I went back with and I was living with this young lady who was into the witchcraft very much so. And so that night, and I told her this story, and she told me that this was 5 years after that. I'm back and because it was so cool, I brought her, and she says, "Well, I found the answer to your question." And she says, and I said, "What do you?" She says, "Tonight we're going," and that means the area where this took place, then this hollowed ground. They had when I got there, and it's done. It's an area that's around behind a high school. I remember that. In an area in a glen, and this is the place, and this is where what's her name?
Lori Cabot.
Lori, and she was there with about 300 at least. This was around close to midnight. They were holding a black mass right around midnight, and she was there with about 300 international witches that descend from all over the globe to come to this thing. So they were there, and there had to be about 150 cops they had this whole area roped off where there were protesters, like from the Catholic Church and whatnot. You're a bunch of sinners, devil worshippers and whatnot. And this is a big thing, and it goes on every year, but they don't advertise it. There was nothing in the paper about it. So that's how much so I found
Because, I mean, it's probably one of those things that's not for the public. It's for
no,
witches.
exactly.
Yeah.
And we went, and we had nobody's wearing Halloween masks. Let's put it that way, as you know.
Yeah.
But I thought that was fascinating.
What do you wear?
For
lot
a
of
black
ritual like
mass.
that, I mean, it
yeah,
really.
a lot of black robes, as I remember. Yeah.
For that particular kind of ritual, you would go with black robes, but depending on the ritual is depending on how you dress.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, for different things, like white is a really common color for, say, full moon rituals and things
Right.
like that. So it really depends. It depends on the witch. It depends on the type of witchcraft.
And what
that
were
they
they doing?
practice.
Was
It
this a
depends on the
black
actual
mass?
ritual.
Is that what it was? A black mass?
Well, I don't know. I do not practice the same kind of witchcraft
Right,
that
so
Lori
it's
Cabot
different.
does, and
Right,
I
yeah.
don't live in Salem. The owner of Hex Old World Witchery, who is my boss, his name's Christian Day. He
Christian
actually,
Day.
Yes, Christian Day.
That's
actually
great.
taught-
Okay, that's not his
actually
real name,
learned-
I assume, right?
No, that is his real name, Christian Day. He actually learned his particular tradition of witchcraft from Lori Cabot. He
Oh,
was a student
really?
of
Oh,
hers,
okay,
yes.
so it's a
And
small
he,
little circle.
yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
owns 2 witchcraft stores in Salem. That's actually where he's from, right next to Lori's.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Or where Lori's used to be. I don't think
So-
it's open anymore.
So there are like different denominations, like Presbyterian, Lutheran.
You can talk to 10 different
in
witches. They're going to practice 10
witchcraft.
different types of witchcraft.
Really?
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's that varied.
Well, what's
yes.
Wicca?
But it's organized.
Wicca is a type of witchcraft as
is.
well. Like I'm a Wiccan.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Right,
yeah,
but
yeah.
there are Wiccans that don't have a lot of witchcraft in their practice, and then there are witches that don't identify
Now,
as
what
Wiccans.
was
a
it?
whole nother thing.
Warlocks or Morlocks? What's warlocks?
That's actually what my boss is. A warlock
Yeah,
is,
right,
is
okay.
a male witch
Oh, a
that
male witch,
practices,
okay.
yeah, like
All
a
right.
particular type of witchcraft. So,
Gotcha. Okay.
Wiccans have a particular, I don't want to say dogma, but they've got certain rules that they go by. Don't harm people. And,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Are you
That's a
born,
good one.
Are you born one? Are you born a witch, or can you convert to, or do you learn?
There's both. There's both. I learned, although there are certain practices that existed in my family. Like my mother used to read Ouija in college. My grandmother actually used to
Ouija,
do
that's a
table
Ouija
knocking.
board.
Yeah.
Table
so
what?
Table knocking. Part of the spiritualism
knocking.
movement that
I hear
originated.
you knocking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
the guys know that one?
Part of the spiritualism movement that started in the
Yeah.
1800s. It actually
Oh, yeah.
enveloped people's homes, and they were all considered games. They were considered something that you did in the parlor. It was a social hour. So
Right.
hey family, let's all get together and gather around the table, and we'll ask the spirits some questions. And so table knocking is when a table will levitate up, and you ask a question, and if the answer is yes, it will knock once, and if the answer is no, it'll knock twice.
Can we do that?
We'll knock the damn
You got all
mic
this
off for it.
equipment. I was going to say, nobody wants to
Let's
spill their
do it.
margarita. So
Don't
Talk
worry
to-
about that. We'll make more. Can
Talk
we,
to Andy.
can we do that? Can you do that, Ty?
me personally,
Yeah.
I have never tried because that's just not part of my practice.
What do you do? for a trick?
As a Wiccan, I do a lot of ceremonies to essentially revere the deities that I believe in, and I do a great deal of magic to help myself personally and to help those around me as well. So I do a lot of healing magic.
White magic. White magic.
It's a misconception that there's white and black magic. There's really not. Everything
It's cream.
exists out
It's like
there, and
pink
it
magic.
really depends on the witch that you're talking
Mauve
to as
magic.
to whether they practice things that help other people, and that's their big focus, or whether they practice things where like I want to communicate with these things, and I want power, and I want to have all the money in the world.
Can
So-
you do that?
say it again?
Can someone do that? Can you be a kind of witch that has power and all the money in the world? And you can.
Richard
We're in,
Branson.
dude. We're in. Okay.
Hi.
Branson, he's a damn
We're coming back. The next
warlock.
question we're going to ask when we
gotta
come
be,
back from
right?
hearing the song is, how do we get all the money in the world? Can you think about that for 3
I'll
minutes?
give you a step-by-step
Okay.
instruction.
Okay.
Can you get all the money in the world and be a good witch at
And how
the
much
same
do you
time?
need? How much do you need to make the next TV show that you're going to make?
Probably $1 million.
$1 million.
Let's just say that.
So could we
That's a
do-
good round
Let's
number.
just
we'll
start
shoot
with
for
$1
that.
million. We'll shoot for $1
All right.
million.
Shoot for that.
First of
Yay.
all, though, from the album "Quote Unquote" Magnum Opus, gentlemen.
Hit
Thank
it,
you
guys.
very much.
Take
okay, I
it.
hope we can get all this on mic here. There's a lot of people involved in this. Chris, can we?
Wow, look at
I
this.
think we're going to be able. You guys might want to scoot up a little.
Yeah, I guess.
So, we
They
got
got-
these mics on Amazon.com. It wasn't like
Oh my God, they got a brass section. They
I
got
know.
two
I say the
guitars.
saxophone's gorgeous. I love that thing.
wow, got a
Fantastic.
trumpet player.
You guys know Volari? Volari. Come on, boys. Wait.
Right, we don't normally do this type of thing a lot, so get ready. Good. Soft, our new album, the song's called Harbinger. They are the blades inside the apple. We are the legionnaires of our faith. So cut the chain and break the shackles of the all-blinded state. We are treasure hunted for our spirits in a galaxy far away. While we sleep in the streets of impropriety. Start looking around and realize that the honeymoon's over. mediocre. Keep one eye open and you may see things that you never thought that you would see within this dream. Like a bullet to the head on your birthday. Fear is the beast that craves attention, the bottom dweller that we escape. The paradigm is always shifting to cover up our mistakes. We're starting to drift into an abyss where the greedy can pull you under. Stop trading the tit, it gets better than this in this world full of constant blunder. Keep one eye open and you may see things that you never thought that you would see within this dream. We'll be sitting by the campfire, telling stories and wishing that it was just like it used to be. We're marching through these barren lands of hypocrisy, and one day we will stand atop the mountain and scream we're free. Oh, we are free. There's only so long that we can sweep this onto the carpet, so shake a rock and make a scene. We'll be sitting by the campfire, telling stories and wishing that it was just like it used to be. But tell me, are we really free? Well, I guess that we'll just have to wait and
Yeah,
Great.
very good. Hell, you don't even need those other guys that aren't here. That's just, where else would they fit in, man? Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Boy,
that-
what a strong voice.
Yeah,
Man,
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's fantastic.
And when you see that on stage, I guess on the record, I haven't heard the record, but when you hear it, when you see them live, there's so much going on as well. There's so many layers to the music, and it changes and moves. And
It's actually really hard. You know, a lot of people think it's really, really easy with all the different. I'm sorry. A lot of people think it's really easy with all the different instruments because we always catch each other's back and stuff with the filling in of songs. But in the real world, it's like you have to work to make it all blend.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to blend all these instruments rather than just put them all together and everybody's doing
Now,
something.
did you
Yeah.
record this in town, or is it live
Yeah.
performance recordings?
We
or
actually
what?
recorded
Studio?
at Fudge Studios, a friend of ours studio, Jack Neely.
Yeah.
We recorded the drums in the live room there, and then we did all the overdubs with
Drew
our friend
Vandahar.
Drew Vandahar, who's
Yeah.
also done a lot.
And how
He's-
long did it take you to put the whole thing together?
Well, we were touring a lot in between, so what
Right,
would happen
yeah,
was
yeah,
have
yeah,
to put
yeah.
it down and then come back to
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it ended
yeah,
up
yeah.
taking us like 7 months because all of a sudden it's like, well, we got to go make some money, you know.
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
let's
yeah.
get out of
Yeah.
town, and that would happen. So 7 months later, the album's now coming out. And I'll tell you what, it's just so much work.
Oh, but it sounds
And
good,
I
guys.
mean,
Yeah. You
thank
guys blew me away. I wasn't thought.
Wonderful.
I
I
know
got chills.
it's amazing to see someone
Thank you.
stand up there and do that.
Tony, that means a lot.
Yeah, well, it's not as good as me, but
No,
yeah.
never,
But you're
never.
young guys, just starting out.
We're
Yeah,
like
give 'em
chum.
a
You
break.
like salmon.
There you go.
But we try to bring a little bit of the rock in.
Yeah,
and
no,
New
the
Orleans
blues, yeah,
together
yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
So hopefully, it comes out all right.
Yeah, the brass is great. Great addition.
We're missing a couple of the other guys, and we also have Mike, Mike, who's on trombone, and then Chris Noto is our drummer, and then
So three
And then,
horn.
and
Three
then
horn.
Andy.
Andy
as well.
Devise.
DeWy, yeah. He's,
So it's hard to make a living these days as a musician. I mean, you can't,
Very.
selling
It's all
records.
changed.
The
It's
whole
all
music
changed.
business has changed since you started. I mean, Tony, you started.
Yeah, yeah.
You're a musician, really.
That's right. Yeah.
Do you know?
absolutely.
Talking about selling records, do you know that Tony has sold more records than Elvis and the Beatles combined?
That's true. That's true.
amazing.
Really?
And that's because
Wow.
that's international. Because I left the country for many years. And I toured a lot of the soccer stadiums.
Right.
You know, and I'd always do a faith healing thing too. That kind of pulls them in. You know, and I'd get a few people. You know,
Like,
to
bam,
make
you're
believe.
healed. Here's a CD.
Yeah, heal, yeah. You know,
From the
I'm
power
telling
of-
you. Yeah.
Well, Tony, you know we can always squeeze you in the van. You can come ride with us. It's uncomfortable, but
Yeah.
we'll make
So
it
you
work,
guys,
know?
you guys don't fly. You guys get in the van and
In the
do it,
van.
right?
Yeah.
I tell you,
In
man,
the
we-
rolling
we
hookah.
grinded that hard. I mean, we almost died on the way home from Austin a few months ago, where the brake line got ripped out when we got a flat
Oh, I was
tire.
at- you were at
Tire
South-
level, like brake line started
Well,
shooting brake fluid.
you know, we're
everywhere.
Were you
We're
at South by
pulling 3,000
Southwest?
Yeah.
Did you go? Yeah, I was there too. Yeah,
we
yeah,
played.
yeah,
We
yeah.
did 7 shows over there.
Oh
this
my
year.
God,
Yeah,
jumping
it was
around,
fun.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was
Did
nuts.
you ever go to
Sometimes
that,
keep it
Grant?
What?
That's
South by
South by
Southwest?
Southwest, yeah.
No, I wasn't invited to
That's
that either.
amazing. But now I want to hear about Paige here because I know she's in the comedy business here, and I know
Yeah.
a little something about that.
Yeah.
Now, where are you from originally?
Originally, I'm from Georgia, and but then I went to school in New York, and I met some people there, and I got invited to come to California. A
I
friend
saw in your
who
card you
was-
had Burbank. You got a home in
Yeah.
Burbank? Yeah, you live in Burbank too?
used to actually moved here about 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And very, very happy about doing that. Just
Cool.
it's a much richer city. It's closer to family too. You know how that is.
Yeah.
And but yeah, went out to
So
California.
what kind of stuff you writing? You writing more like sitcom stuff, or is it?
I was, yeah,
yeah.
sure was writing sitcom stuff. I would love to see, and my partner Nancy Lee, she
Yeah.
also comes from sitcoms. I think her first job was on Night Court.
Oh, really?
She
Oh,
actually
she's-
wrote the series finale to Night Court as a young writer.
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty cool.
So that's pretty good.
And with Harry Anderson, who is a
Oh, yeah.
He's
one
got a
of the
New Orleans
natives
connection.
here.
He had
Indeed.
a magic club here.
But then
Yeah.
he left, right? Is
I
Yeah.
think they left after the storm.
couldn't
right?
take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got real
Asheville.
depressed by it, everything. Yeah,
Did
he
he?
had that club, yeah.
Yeah, he had a magic club down here on Decatur Street.
Well,
you
that'll
were
do
here then,
it.
right,
you
Ty?
know.
Yeah.
But
Just
he's-
down
You're from
from
Night
here.
Court, so that's how you
Yeah.
do Harry. That's right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's where I come
So,
from.
so now what are you writing now? What's the latest?
Working on some internet stuff. We just shot this thing that Grant was talking about, Nikki and Nora, in May. And it was interesting because it was shot as a pilot here for Warner Brothers back in '04, just
Wow.
before Katrina.
Yeah.
And the political cultural climate was not so amenable to that kind of thing because it's essentially a cop show where the partners are actual partners. So it didn't
It's two hot-looking women who
two hot,
who are
smoking hot
cops,
lesbians
who are
who solve
tough,
crimes.
shit-kicking cops, and they're
Did you see
lovers
it?
as well. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you can
great.
see the original pilot on the internet now.
Oh,
I
fantastic.
think
Now,
they
are
chunk
they-
it up into 4.
Like in the series, are they partners? Like, are they out as well in their
Yes.
precinct? Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
they're dealing with like
Yeah.
that as well.
So
I'm
their
sure.
emotional hooks run pretty deep, is what you're saying.
Indeed.
Yeah, nice.
And now in this new incarnation, well, briefly what happened is it didn't get picked up, but DVDs were all over the place, and one of them got leaked. And so somebody put it up on the internet, and this like crazy audience developed.
Well, that's good. So that
It
shows
was
that we're
wonderful.
successful. now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fan
Like leaked on
fiction,
accident or leaked on
Leaked on
purpose?
accident. We didn't have anything. We
And did
didn't
you
leak
take it all
Leaked.
around? Did you take it
No.
all to all the networks? You took it to everybody?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Nobody yet. Huh?
No, that
But
was
you
the
never know.
year. Remember Howard Stern got in trouble for being all randy,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
Janet Jackson's boob flipped out,
It was
and
so
everybody was all.
this political
And George
correctness
Bush got elected
BS,
again.
yeah.
Someone paid to have this made, right? You sold this to someone. You didn't just go shoot
Yeah,
the original
Warner
one.
Brothers
You-
had it made.
Well, they
so
paid for it.
that
Fantastic.
pilot
Well, that's good.
belongs to Warner Brothers.
So walk us through that process a little bit. You have an idea, or did you write?
Mm-hmm.
Do you write the whole script, or did you go and sell the script, or did you go pitch an idea to studios?
All of the above. It can
Okay.
happen in
No,
a
which
number
how
of
this
ways.
one happened with Nikki
This
and
one
Nora.
happened. Well, this was Nancy Lee. This was back
Yeah.
in '04. So this was all her. I didn't have anything to do with it at that time. And I believe that she had come up with the original premise and pitched it, and they said, "Oh, okay, that sounds
good
pretty
idea.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we'd like to see," and definitely set in New Orleans. She was
Okay.
definite on that.
So
and they
somebody in
sent
a
her off to
meeting
do-
heard this pitch
Yes.
and said,
This
hot,
sounds like something
hot
HBO
lesbian
would do.
cops. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hot lesbian
Well, tell
cops. Someone
them.
heard that in a
Yeah.
meeting and said, yes, we're going to pay you to write that go, and then they shot it. which is a big deal to get a pilot made.
It's a huge deal.
And the pilot is really
Wow.
good. I'm not just saying that because you're sitting here.
Thank
It
you.
really is
I'd love
good.
to see
That's
it.
nice.
And at the same time,
You
with all
can.
the cookie cutter stuff that they have on TV nowadays, something with a little bit of subject matter, with a little bit of color and creativity like that would do
Yeah.
really well.
Hey,
Well, and you
hey.
know from the title, Nikki and Nora,
Yeah,
it's going to
yeah,
hark
it's like
to
the- right.
harken to a lighter
So
kind
what
of.
was it that they
kind
didn't
of
like? It
drama.
was just because it was
The
like a bad
sexuality.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's
yeah,
scary to him.
Yeah.
But
it
you're
was
right,
very
Tony. That
conservative
HBO
at the
but
time.
was
Well,
it-
you know what they just did on HBO, because he's a friend of mine, Scott Thorson. He wrote Behind the Candelabra. He was Liberace's
Oh,
lover.
yes.
He's a good friend of
Yeah.
mine, and
Yes.
Scott, and they just did that. As a matter of fact, this Sunday at the Emmys,
Got a bunch
it's
of
nominated for 15 Emmys.
Crazy.
You know, when Michael
Good luck
Douglas
to
is
him.
probably going to play
And Matt Damon?
Liberace.
Is that Matt
Matt Damon
Damon?
played
Matt
Scott.
Damon,
Matt Damon
right.
played
Yeah.
Scott. It's a big hit. It's one of the biggest things. But and Soderbergh wrote it and directed
Steven
it.
Soderbergh,
Yeah,
yes.
and he
Great
took
guy.
it. And he, look with those names,
I can
Michael
understand.
Douglas, Matt Damon, Soderbergh, and he took that project. Him and I forgot the producer's name. They took it to every studio.
The
Every
Weinsteins?
no, not the Weinsteins.
not
No,
them.
the guy that used to be with Elvis. I forgot his name. Anyway, they took it around all the movie studios, and everybody passed on it. And the last one they
Steven
took it-
Soderbergh movie. Even.
Yeah, the last
with
one they
all these
took-
people attached to
with
it.
all these people attached
Because
to
of
it.
the
gay
gay
stuff,
aspect.
That's right.
Right.
So because like they said for the movies, the average moviegoer is an 18-year-old guy on a date.
Interesting.
That's the demographic
Lord,
when
I
it
don't
comes to
think that's
movies.
true.
Yeah. So that's why.
So
But
many
this
of these
seems
people
to
just
be-
look at the numbers and they don't.
That's it.
I mean, you get shows like say Harry's Law, and we have Kathy Bates back in New Orleans now shooting American Horror Story Coven, and her show Harry's Law got canceled, which was doing great in an audience that skewed older than 18 to 49. But they said, we don't get the dudes on dates, so
See,
we don't
there
want
you
the
go.
show.
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's very myopic.
Yeah. Hey, that reminds me. Hear about the Polish lesbian? She liked men.
Okay.
That's a good one, Toby. I like
Thank you.
that one.
So, for now, you raised the money yourself
we did.
to make Nikki and Nora the web
Yes.
TV series
Yes.
by doing an Indiegogo campaign and raised like $50,000 or something.
Yeah, and we exceeded
Dave,
our goal.
what is it?
I mean,
We're actually about to start one ourselves, so I'm glad
They were
you're
great.
successful. It was so
But
successful.
what did you
for
did it on the internet?
Mm-hmm.
On what? What's that called?
Indiegogo?
Indiegogo.
Indiegogo.
You
Yeah.
Kickstarter, I think, was the first one,
Right.
and
Oh.
Indiegogo is another one.
Is
so
Indiegogo
their
now
model
more
is
movies?
a little bit different.
More projects like.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
Indiegogo is
so.
the one where, if you don't reach your goal, you still get to keep some of the money, right? In
Correct.
Kickstarter, you have to reach it, or you don't
Yeah.
get any.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
that-
you don't
yeah,
have a
that's the
timeline as
model.
well.
Oh, what?
right?
You have to give it back.
We did have
you
to
don't-
put a
Yeah,
timeline.
yeah.
on
No,
it.
Kickstarter,
did.
they don't give you
Yeah,
any money
talk to you after
unless
about
you
that.
reach
Okay,
the
okay.
whole
Oh,
goal.
yeah,
They
that's-
So
just
people
raised
donate, but you don't reach your goal, it goes back.
$222,000 of $120,000 goal
Oh my
on
gosh,
Indiegogo
that's
in 3
great.
days.
Really?
Holy cow.
They basically, when they're talking about it, the name of the band's called Protest the Hero, and when they're talking about it, they go through like little storyboards saying, band gets signed by record label, band makes 3 albums that they're very proud of, band spends the next 10 years trying to pay that label back with record sales.
Right.
before-
Right.
And they're like, is this the music of is this the way of the future? And they're like doing 3 days.
Wow.
3 days, 222 grand. They don't have to pay anybody back. They are their own entity now.
And what?
And-
So what are you?
Ryan,
you
you
guys
doing
are
that?
doing that next.
Well, we're doing a
What's the
Kickstarter
plan?
to buy a new van or RV now to be able, because we're traveling a lot, and
Okay.
it's gonna be really tough. So that's gonna be out. So if you like us on Facebook, you'll be able to catch up with all that. We did a little fun little
Yeah.
video.
And Paige, you
But,
We
I mean,
totally will.
congratulations to you.
Thank
That's
you
so
so
amazing.
much.
So
It
you
was-
raised
it
money
was so
doing
gratifying.
this?
Absolutely, we
Wow.
did. And the cool thing is that the audience is there. They're actually clicking on that thing saying, yes, I would actually like to
And
see
what
that.
did you put a scenario down of what the synopsis of what
We
the
actually
idea is?
shot, people
Oh, you
could,
shot a little.
You
We
could see
shot
the
some-
original pilot, I guess, as
You
well.
can see the original pilot. I don't know. I think it links to it on Indiegogo, but people can see it on YouTube. And then we shot some stuff from the actors. The original actresses, Christina Cox and Liz Vassy, are coming back, and they're wonderful. And they bring their own audience.
Yeah.
So they shot some stuff before saying, hey, this is what we're doing again. We're listening to you guys, and
So
and
little
we're coming
appeals,
back.
actually appeals.
Exactly.
Wow.
I can't wait to go check out your stuff. It really sounds
Yeah.
interesting. That's amazing.
It was.
But when
it
you
was
see
really fun
what
to do.
they've shot now for the web, it's insane how good it is for
Oh,
for,
gosh.
for the web. I mean, is this the way
Yeah.
it's going? Are we going to have real classy production
Well,
value
I
like
hope
that?
So. Nancy Lee and I come from television,
Right.
so that's the only way we know how to do stuff. I mean, we don't just, You know, and God bless
You
the
shot
people
this
who
on
just,
film or video? It's video.
We shot it on video.
Right, yeah, but
We
it looks
did.
good, huh? Yeah, yeah.
But it's
Technology now is just.
yeah, yeah.
it's
But this is like
gorgeous
when you
stuff.
watch this, it's like really shot beautifully, and it's really, I mean, it's written and produced.
Did you
and
direct it?
It's awesome.
You guys-
So Nancy Lee directed it.
Oh, she did? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
she
Right.
directed
Where
it.
is she today? Why isn't she here?
She's pitching. She actually had a pitch meeting yesterday for something else.
What do
Tell
you
them maybe there's a role for me you could write, Paige.
Perhaps.
You know, I'll bring a lot of
Tony.
people to come see it.
Okay.
Indeed,
What
you
sort
come
of
with
stuff?
your own audience.
What sort of thing would you
I'll
like
play a
to
lesbian witch.
what do you
I
wanna
don't
do?
give a
Okay.
shit. Yeah,
But will you be nude?
yeah. I'm nude now.
for the money?
No, I'm not wearing pants right now.
What is Nancy pitching out there, Nancy Lee?
I don't know if I'm at liberty to say,
You
but
can't
I know
say?
she was. She's going to different places. She was talking to the folks at ABC, I believe, yesterday. Good folks.
Okay. Tony, do people
Yeah.
hit you up? Do
Yep.
people come with you with ideas, or they want you to star on something like this? Or do
Yeah,
you,
sometimes people want to use me for different things. Some things make sense, some do not. Now, but one thing I'm looking for to do is years ago, the late great Andy Kaufman, back in 1981, him and I wrote the Tony Clifton story for Universal. So for years, people have been saying you should really try to get some funding for that, to have that done, because that's the one
Yeah.
thing he really wanted to do. And now I'm back around here now doing that, and maybe I could get Jim Carrey to play Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman has a little role.
Jim
in this.
Carrey played Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, yeah,
already.
Man on the
He-
moon.
he
If you
did
just
that.
shows his
Yeah.
face, little
We know
cameo.
he can do it.
Yeah, you know you could do it. Yeah, and matter of fact, that's a funny story because when we were casting, man, I wanted Nicolas Cage because there's something about Nick Cage that reminded me of my buddy Andy Kaufman, and Nick Cage had the acting chops. What is it? Dying in Las Vegas? What was that?
No,
Drinking in Las
Leaving
Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's something about him. And when we announced, Milos Forman announced that we were going to do Man on the Moon, everybody wanted to play Kaufman. Tom Hanks, Sean Penn, Ed Norton. Milos had done the movie Larry Flint with Ed Norton.
Yeah,
Ed
that
Norton
was
wanted
a
to
great
play it.
movie.
Of course, Nicolas Cage wanted to play it, and Jim Carrey wanted to play it. I did not want Jim. Because Jim had the comedy chops, but this serious movie, Kaufman dies at the end with the cancer and the psychic surgery. So Milos is a gun for hire director. He does a movie about every 8 years. So when all these big names said they wanted to play Kaufman, he got scared. He didn't want to say no to any of them because if he's trying to finance his next film, they're going to say, hey, fuck you, Milos, because of the fact that I wanted to play Andy Kaufman and you rejected me.
Well, that's Hollywood.
Yeah,
You
so
have to
when
be
he-
nice to
so he-
everybody. Nobody can
he
say
did-
no to anyone.
That's
Yeah.
right. So he
You never
says,
get a no in Hollywood.
yeah. So he
Just
said,
don't get a call.
so Milos was very smart. He says, well, what we'll do is this. He says, we'll make everybody who wants to play Kaufman to make an audition tape because a lot of these big stars are going to go, I'm not going to make an audition tape, right? But my phone rang one day and it was Jim Carrey. And Jim said, hey, Tony, I made the audition tape, and before I show it to Milos and embarrass myself, could you come over to my house and see it? So true story. So I drove her, an incredible place in Bel Air. Gates open up, the whole crazy thing. And I go there, and he's got his own movie theater. That's a separate building. That's a regular movie theater, concession stand. I go in there. He brought in, there was a girl behind him in the little outfit with the candy and everything, just for me, because he's going to show me this audition tape.
What kind of candy did you get?
I didn't
Milk
want.
duds?
I filled my pocket, Greg, with everything because I figured I don't want him, And on the way driving there, I said, no matter what he shows you, Tony, don't take him anything good bank. Say, oh, that's interesting, right? I really want Nick Cage. So I go in there, and he says, Tony, and he's got some old clips from Saturday Night Live playing in taxi clips already on a big screen. He says, look, I got 10 minutes of phone calls to make. I'll come back. I'll show you the audition tape. He said, meanwhile, enjoy old clips of Andy and taxi and take as much candy as you want. I'm filling my pockets. I'm going,
Sure.
I'm never going to see this sucker again, I got Nick Cage. He's going to do the movie. And then, so anyway, he comes back 10 minutes later, and he's got this little brown bag. And he says, well, here's my audition tape. And he reaches inside, and he starts laughing like a goon, like almost evil. And it's dark in the place. And he's tearing the bag open, and there's nothing in the bag. And he's laughing like a maniac. Who's to say that a major star cannot be a serial killer? I'm scared, so I'm there.
Jim Carrey's going to
Yeah.
slit your throat at this point.
Yeah. And do you ever see Cable Guy? He could get,
Right.
he could get dark real
got
quick. He could
layers.
scare you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Steven.
So what happened? He starts laughing like a madman, and he says, what do you think of my audition tape? And what the hell is he talking? And he points to the screen. What he had done, Judd Apatow, the director, Judd Apatow, they contacted Lorne Michaels. They got some set pieces from SNL, Saturday Night Live. They went to a little studio. They set this up, and he played Andy, and they cut it in between real footage of Andy from SNL with him playing the congas and
you're sitting there watching it.
I'm convinced it was Kaufman, and I'm going,
How
what?
about it?
And and at that point, I just lost it. I mean, I got quite emotional, and I said, "You got the role." And I went back home. I told my girl for a week. I said, Nick Cage answers calls. I'm not here. So but here's the punch. Here's the punch real quick. So anyway, I'm at the premiere of the movie, Man on the Moon. And I find out that while we're shooting the movie that Nick Cage and Jim Carrey are like best of friends. They go to each other's birthdays and everything. So I'm at the premiere afterward, the party, and I'm having my beverage of choice at the bar at the party afterwards, and there's a tap on my shoulder. And I turn around, and lo and behold, it's Nick Cage, who I had not taken calls from and everything. But he was cool, right? He said, "Oh, no, don't worry, it's okay." He says, "I couldn't have done what Jim did." He says, that was the better choice. So we're drinking more. Now, here's the punch. So finally, to soften him, I said, "Well, Nick, why is it that you didn't make the audition tape?" And he breaks into a big laugh. He's, "Oh, yes, the audition tape. You know why I didn't make that audition tape? Because my good pal Jim Carrey said guys in our position don't need to make audition tapes." True story.
And they're still friends.
And he went
Oh, yeah,
around
he
it,
didn't
too.
care. Nick, they make any movies they want anytime,
Well, that's a real Hollywood story, isn't it?
That's great.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's
True.
That's
wonderful.
hard to top that one, Paige. I mean, I know you're thinking
Holy
I've got a story.
cow. I know.
War stories from Hollywood.
Reaching into the bag of tricks, but
Yeah,
that's
that's a
amazing
classic.
Yeah,
about
That's a
But that's
classic.
Carey. That's why he's
Yeah.
the $20 million guy.
Right.
And he started, guys, that kids come up to me and say, "How do I get in comedy and everything?"
live in color.
And Paige, you'll know this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he started, this family. He was Canadian. He never finished high school. The family was poor. They came over in a station
Overrated.
Carey
wagon.
never what person never finishes high school anymore?
Well, he came over with his mother, father, and sister, and they went across the country and they would clean factories at night. This is how they lived.
No,
They
they
had,
didn't.
oh yeah, Jim Carrey. That's how they did it. They came.
This is what he told you.
No, it's a true story.
is
It's
true.
his books. Everybody knows. So
Okay.
anyway, so he gets in over at Mitzi Shore's Comedy
His whole
Store on
family
Sunset.
did that, huh? His whole
Yeah,
family
the whole
did.
family
They
did.
ride around the
family.
station
Yeah,
wagon
yeah,
there
yeah.
forever.
You know this. Yeah,
I
true
know the
story.
yeah.
No, they were penniless.
Yeah.
And so he came and he started working at the Comedy Store. And I tell young kids today who aspire to be comedians, I say, "Well, look, do you like Jim Carrey? Yeah. Would you like to be Jim Carrey? Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. Jim Carrey, Paige, you might know this, worked at Mitzi Shore's Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood
Right.
for 9 years, 2 shows a night for free.
Yeah, he was doing an improv and they didn't like it.
For free.
When his dad died, he wrote
Yeah.
a $10 million check and put it in his pocket because he finally made it.
So this guy is, and now he gets
Wow.
$20 million a movie. So he's out of his mind. You can imagine going through. Yeah. So
Yep,
what
pretty
happened?
much.
He met the Wayans, and they got him on Living Color because he knew the new Damon Wayans
Yep.
from the Comedy Store, and then Tom Shadyac had a script called Ace Ventura, Pet
Ventura.
Detective.
Never heard of
And
it.
he did that, and it went through the roof.
Yeah.
And then there you go.
Yeah,
But
so
now
much
we're in a whole different world. No one gets $20 million. I don't even think that Jim Carrey gets $20 million to make a movie anymore.
Not anymore. No,
Probably
he does
nowhere
not.
near it.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're talking about this Liberace movie where you've got Steven Soderbergh and Michael Douglas and all these huge stars, and they can't get the money to make the movie easily.
It's
I mean,
very
they had
tough.
to go
yeah.
all around
Look
town
at the
to find
music
it.
business, guys. How everything
Right.
changed.
So this is what I'm getting to
It's so
now.
hard.
But now, luckily, we have witchcraft.
Now,
question.
you do the right potions, you get
This
everything
is
you
the
want.
question that we started to ask ages ago before the song. How do we get our hands on the $1 million, Ty?
Well, you've got to definitely put some energy into it. First
Well,
of all,
let's go. What do we do?
We've been putting
Yes,
good
we're
positive
ready.
energy in
Let's-
for like the last 10 years.
Yes, there you go. So when people do this sort of thing, it's always important to emphasize that magic alone doesn't get you there. It's a little bit like,
Oh, no.
I'm going to meditate this to get this job. Well, if you don't apply for the job, you're never going to get the job. It doesn't
Yes.
matter.
Okay, let's go step by step.
Well, it's always important first to go out in whatever avenue you are trying to get money, whether that is buying the lottery ticket or looking for the amazing job, or working on like your sound. I'm sure it's taking you years to get to where you guys are. those are always the first steps. But for, the practicing witch, we do the spiritual side of it, the witchcraft side of it to help us along. So
Is that like visualizing?
Yeah, how
that's,
would
I mean, that's
Yeah, let's
the
get
sort of the
real
beginning.
now.
It's the beginnings of it. So some witches use a lot of meditation, visualization,
Okay, let's cut-
harnessing their personal
let's
energy.
let's get serious because we don't have got
Do you
much
cut
time.
the throats
So
of little
cut-
chickens? Huh? Do you skin the black cat?
Let's talk about Tony Clifton, the movie, the story.
Let's do it. Let's raise the money.
How would we get the money to make this? It's a script that you and
For
Jim,
Tony Clifton, the
that
movie,
you
what
and
I would suggest is
Kaufman wrote.
you need to find 20 pigs, and you'll need to slit their throats and
Okay.
collect the blood, and then stand in the middle of the pig manure and put the blood on you. For everybody else, however,
Oh.
if you want to get money, you would take things like
People are
patchouli
gonna
oiled
take
and
this
certain
serious.
stones,
Sure.
and you can carry those with you in order to attract money and financial opportunities to you. I actually create a tincture, which is sort of like an extract, and put a bunch of different ingredients in it for my friends that need jobs. So, there's a lot of that, a lot of unemployment in the city, and I say, come over to my house, I'll give you a little bit of this tincture, and it's got various things in it, like devil's shoestring and Job's tears and things
Okay,
like
wait. What's devil's shoestring?
that. It's a type of wood.
What
It's a type of like woody root. So
Okay. Where'd
yeah.
you get that from? Internet.
You can get it from the internet. You can get it from witch shops. A lot of these ingredients are available in witch shops just for this purpose. So, I get all these ingredients together and I pour Everclear over it and let it sit for a month, and then I dish it out to people, and they'll put it on resumes or they'll put it on themselves and walk around, and it allows them to attract money. And the things that I make almost always work, either immediately
Hey.
or within a month.
Really?
Okay.
Do you have a card?
Yeah, really. What's your email address?
Yeah.
I can make you a lot of money right now.
Well, you know what? I was going to say, come to Pagan Pride, and then you'll be able to see the practices of a lot of different people, and we're actually going to have actual magical rituals there that you will get to participate in and see.
Pagan Pride is an
that?
event.
Pagan Pride is an event. Yes, it's actually this Saturday. It's
Oh,
from 10
dear.
a.m. to 6:30.
The Saturday
Okay.
meaning the date is the
21st, September 21st. Yes.
pretty
Okay.
close.
Yes, it's very, very close.
most
From 10
people
a.m. to
listening to this
6:30.
will be passed by the time they hear this. So what would the? No, well, a lot of
Where-
because
where's-
we only have a couple of days.
Where's
Okay.
this at? Where's it being held?
It's going to be held at the New Orleans Healing Center inside of Cafe Istanbul. We have keynote speaker Selena Fox, who's very infamous in the pagan world. She actually flew down from Wisconsin. She's staying with me. But she has several events going on.
You have a spare
around
room,
Pagan
or is she
Pride.
staying on your futon?
She's
or what?
She's staying in
levitating.
my room, and I'm staying on the couch.
So you have a one-bedroom down in the Maroney there somewhere?
No, I live in Lakeview.
In
So,
Lakeview?
yes.
Gee, what made you choose Lakeview?
It's a beautiful neighborhood. I've lived all
Yeah.
over the city, so
It's witch-friendly out there in Lakeview? Do the
I
neighbors
don't really
know
go
you're-
around and yell out, I'm a witch.
I wouldn't think so. I thought you'd be living in the Bywater or the Maroney or somewhere.
But
where we'd see
surprisingly,
more
there are
witch
quite a
friends.
few witches. Well, there are quite a few witches all throughout New Orleans. There are quite a few witches in Uptown. There are quite a few witches in Lakeview. There are definitely some witches in the Maroney and the French Quarter.
Lakeview, I
You have
think
no
about that
idea.
word.
I
all
didn't.
different economic, social strata.
Yes,
Switches, they're all
yes,
They get
many
better
different social
roots
strata.
in
I mean, we
Lakeview.
have witches that are unemployed, of course, because
This is
there's a
a
large
good-
unemployment
but
rate.
that's
But
a
we have
good
witches that are
question.
lawyers, and we have witches that are authors, and we have witches that are doctors.
But hang on, Tony's got the optimal question there, I have to say.
Sure.
If you were a witch and you can attract all this, why are you unemployed? Not you personally, one.
It depends on what you want. Not everybody is out to
Not
get
everybody
money.
wants a job or
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people are quite happy to do what they do.
That's right.
And money comes along their way. They are
In the
able to take care of
60s,
themselves.
as you know, well, no, you're younger than I am, but in the 60s, it wasn't cool to have a job and work. If you were working, forget it's like the old Dobie Gillis show years ago. It used to be Maynard G. Krebs, and he'd always go work. If you worked, you're working for the man. You weren't free. So I understand that.
Okay,
Square.
but suppose that you didn't
I'm
want to.
working- we're working for free
look at
for
this.
this interview,
You think
right?
someone's paying us?
Yeah.
You want to make a movie, or Paige wants to make a TV show.
Right.
Would it work if they get some of this tincture of whatever and rub it on a piece of paper and?
Is it sticky? Because if I hand them my
no.
resume with sticky stuff on it, they're going to look at,
They're
what
not
they're
gonna
going to
like
think.
Yeah.
Tony, what
Oh,
were you
Tony.
doing,
I get the
man?
feeling like that might
pages
happen
are all stuck
often. Like this is not a first-time scenario for you. No, it's not sticky. I mean, it's just like it has the texture of alcohol. So same thing. You put it on your skin, it'll dry.
Well, I could
in
just
about
drink
10
it then.
10
Wait a
seconds.
second. Now we're on to something. I did that last night. I'm going to be very successful by the end of the day.
Ty, come on, tell us where can we find you though? Because anyone's listening to this and they're like, and you're saying this works. I know you said the word almost always works, but you were just saying that to sort of
I've never known
give
it
yourself
to
a,
not
like
work.
the
Let's put it
quotation
that
marks.
way.
Okay,
Wow.
it's always worked as far as you know.
Sometimes it's taken some time, but it's worked.
Okay. So how do we find you? Just tell us.
You can email me at gnopaganpride@gmail.com.
GNO,
Pagan
like Greater
Pride.
New Orleans.
Yes.
GNO Pagan Pride
at gmail.com.
at gmail.com.
Yes.
Let's see if that works.
Yes.
Okay. You guys want to play? We have to get out of here. Tony's got a plane to catch.
You can stay.
We're going to play one more song before we. Let's do one more song and
do
then.
another one for you. We're down.
Okay. What are you thinking of playing? Something
A
off.
reggae song, white boy reggae.
Oh, I thought it was going to be actually way gay, like
No.
Yeah.
TV show.
No, it's no.
Come on.
When we went on tour with Fishbone, they used to tell us about other bands. They're a bunch of incredibly talented guys, and they'd always be like, "And y'all play that reggae rock?" Huh? We're like, "Well, what does that mean?" Well, you a bunch of white boys playing reggae.
That's it. Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
enjoyed
the song we're about to play is on our new CD, Magnum Opus, and the song's kind of about basically people needing to put in a little bit more in the world if they want it to turn right.
All right. Check
called
it
We were
out.
talking
It's called
about.
Get Some
Get
Culture.
some culture.
A little magic.
Yeah, a little magic, a little effort.
Little white magic from the way gay
Absolutely.
guys.
Indie gree. I like
Let me
it.
tell you, there are people all over the world who, like witches, people that practice magic, who they will, pick certain days, and these people literally line up all over the world to all lend their energy to, heal the world, basically, that sort of thing.
Imagine
and
if
of
they
course,
weren't doing it, what kind of a fucked up situation we'd be in.
It doesn't
yeah.
always, people look at magic differently. It shouldn't be looked at as, oh, witches are doing it, and it's just automatically going to manifest. It should be looked at as all of these people are gathering together, which will hopefully put energy into the next generation of people who will be a little more idealistic and who will want to be stewards for their earth. That sort of thing. Magic works
Yes.
in different ways. Sometimes it's unpredictable.
Is it working right now while we're sitting?
Quite possibly, yes. Are you slowly falling in love with me? Is that what's going on?
Well, yeah. It's not that slow. It was love
Okay.
at first sight. Tony, are you out of here?
I gotta leave. I'm sorry.
Okay, you
Sir.
got
It's
to. Nice
been
to
an
meet
hour
you.
With a great group of people.
It's great
Thank
to meet you,
guys.
okay.
Paige, nice
It was
meeting
lovely.
you. Nice
to meet
meeting you
you.
guys. You guys are great. We'll see you guys. Play us out.
Okay, let's have it.
The world is always changing with every passing breath. And with all the vampires feeding, soon there will be nothing left. To sink their precious fangs in, or to wrap their capes around. The greed within destruction's left us feeling gagged and bound. We could go to the ocean and we could breathe for a change. If all we are stardust in the sky, well, I'ma shine my brightest, shine my brightest, oh yeah. So if all we are stardust in the sky, then we could shine our brightest. We could shine the brightest we have ever shined tonight. Why don't we? Why don't we? Why don't we? Why don't we? Yeah. So why don't we get some culture any way we can, and learn to shoot down the vultures until they will understand exactly what it feels like to be the hunted man, and exactly what it feels like to be on the receiving end. intention. Without it, shallow kindness fight a congenial revolution, ripping up the archetype. So if all we are stardust in the sky, then we could shine our brightest. We could shine the brightest we have ever shined tonight. Oh, we could shine tonight. Whoa, shine tonight. Whoa, we could shine tonight. Whoa.
The Scorseses, thank you very much. What a great way to end Happy Hour. Thank you so much. The Scorseses album is called Magnum Opus and is coming out almost immediately.
Yes, sir.
Probably by the time you're listening to this, you'll be able to get it online. And you're touring all over the country. So wherever you are listening to this around the United States and around the world, I would imagine you're getting out of here at some point.
Eventually.
Check them out.
Can we spell it? And,
yes, please spell
The
it.
Scorseses, and we don't know how to spell it, but we'll figure it out real quick. TheScorseses.com or
It's
Facebook.
S-E-S. It's Scorseses with an S, not a
Scorseses.
C in the middle.
No,
Yes, it's a
SCORSES.
Scorsese. Okay.
God, 4 years ago, I wish we wouldn't have done that to ourselves.
It's too late now, yeah.
So,
A
thank
lot
you
of
very
people
much
think
for
that
having
about
us.
You're welcome. It's great to have you guys, and good luck with the record,
It's
and
a
we'll look
pleasure.
forward to
Thank
seeing
you
you
for
around.
asking us.
Ty Siddiqui has been here as well with us from Pagan Pride, and if you happen to catch this show before Saturday the 21st of
Yeah,
September.
and if not,
And if-
you
if
can
you
still
missed
go to the website, which is gnoppd.org.
GNOPPD.
Yes, because it's going to be an annual thing. It's
Pagan
part of a
Pride
national
Day. PPD
organization.
stands for Pagan Pride Day.
Yes.
And let's just give your email address one more time because
That's gnopaganpride@gmail.com.
gnopaganpride@gmail.com. Tony Clifton was here as well, the incredible Tony Clifton. And he was a super gentleman, wasn't he?
Oh, it was terrific.
He
I
was.
was worried.
Paige Bernhardt, I know you were
worried.
nervous before the show that he
Yeah,
was going
I
to say
was.
something
But he
awful.
was great.
He's a real gentleman.
Yes.
Paige Bernhardt has been here as well. Paige, where can we find
Fine,
Nikki and
thank
Nora,
you.
and what should we do next about that?
You can find Nikki and Nora. I think we're gonna be doing a screening in Los Angeles. Not sure exactly when. I believe it's October. It's in October. Shoot, I should have the date.
What about here in New Orleans?
In New Orleans, we're going to have a screening actually
Okay.
as well, and I actually don't know when that is, so I'm
Okay.
certain about that.
Is there a website? We'll put a link to it on it.
Yes.
It's on link on our site in the player there, so
Yeah,
people can find
you'll
you
be
as
able to
well.
find it at OML, and our co-producers are Tello Films. It was a co-production of Tello Films, Tello, like Jello with a T, or Hello with a T, out of Chicago, and us, My Heart, MYHARDT.
Okay.
And it'll be on OML, which stands for One More Lesbian.
One more
Because
lesbian.
you all need,
dot
you
com.
just need one more.
It's OML.com.
I think so.
Is that your website?
Yeah.
One more lesbian.
But if you look up
What a
Nikki
great
and
way to go.
Nora, then you can
Okay,
find
you need to have a hit on this electronic cigarette that's going around
I
here
do.
as well. That's our show. Happy Hour's all over for another week. Thank you so much for joining us. The producer of our show was Graham DePonte. Our associate producer and technical director is Chris Kehoe. Christian Unruh is our music director. The theme that you're currently listening to was written by and is being played by as well Mitch Foreman. The fabulous audio quality of this show is brought to you in part by PreSonus Audio Electronics. PreSonus makes some of the best audio recording and live sound products around, including Studio One music production software, Studio Live digital mixing consoles, Era Studio monitors, and much more. You can visit PreSonus.com for more information about all that. If you'd like to be on our show, and you can sit around a table for about an hour and stay upright, drop us a line. Our address is on our website. You can check out our other shows on our website too. There's plenty more happy hours to listen to, as well as Out to Lunch with Peter Raschuti live from Commander's Palace, Mindset with psychiatrist Dr. Nick Pajic, True to the Game with Chris True and Tammy Nelson, Vietnam, our show about the New Orleans Vietnamese community, and Midnight Menu Plus One with Margot Moss and the man who ate New Orleans, Ray Kanata. Keep up with us on Facebook, Twitter, and a bunch of other time-sucking social media. On all of it, we're It's New Orleans. If you listen to this show on one of those podcast machines, thank you for subscribing to us. Take a moment to rate and review us. That'll help other people find us. Shows recorded today live at Casa Borrega, which is a bar, a music venue, and an awesome restaurant here on Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard. Come down and check them out. Follow them on Facebook and Twitter as well. Happy Hour is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. Andrew Duhon should be back next week. For Chris Kehoe over here, everyone around the table, and everyone back at the INO office, thanks so much for joining me. I'm Grant Morris. We'll see you next time on Happy Hour.
Johnny got a toy golf set when he was 3, and from that day on, he was hooked. All he wanted to do was golf, golf, golf. He'd be on the links before school, after school. All he ever wanted was to go pro. And then, one day, when he was holding his grandson and thinking about his 12 handicap, Johnny realized it just might not happen for him. But you know what did happen for him? He switched to Geico and saved a bunch of money on car insurance. So that was good, and so was hanging out with his grandson.